Hey guys, welcome to another video. I hope you guys are having a good day. I've been a little bit MIA on YouTube, and that's because I've been really sick for the past couple of days. The weather in Korea has been really on and off, and it's been sunny, then like raining, cloudy, gloomy, and I don't know, it was just like taking a toll on my body. But I'm back now, and basically yesterday I asked you guys on my Instagram story, I put up a topic and I asked you guys for some questions on that topic, which was about survival audition show programs and basically audition show programs. Wow, I got so many comments. I got a lot of good ones. I got a lot of good questions. I got a lot of risky questions, a lot of tricky questions, but nonetheless, they were all really good questions. And I had a major epiphany yesterday of why I didn't do this sooner. For those of you guys who are loyal viewers of Idol Insider, you guys know that I basically kind of jot down a bunch of questions that I think you guys might want to know, and then I answer them. I don't know why I just didn't ask you guys all of the questions you guys wanted to know before and then answer them. Like, what the heck? Anyways, so for all of the Idol Insiders going on forward, I'm basically going to be putting it on my Instagram story. I'm going to be just putting up a topic and then taking in questions. So for those of you guys who want to participate and are very curious or have questions, please be on the lookout for my Instagram stories. Follow me on Instagram, subini_. For those of you guys who are new to my channel and this is the video that you guys just happen to click, I basically talk about the backsides of the K-pop industry, basically just, you know, things and questions. I answer questions. So if you guys who are interested and this is your type of content, don't forget to subscribe. It would really mean a lot to me. And yeah, don't forget to turn on your notification bell as well. Little bell, so you guys know when a new video is up. But a lot of my viewers now are gonna know that this video is up and that I'm gonna be touching up on this video since I put it in my story. So I feel like it's a really good thing that we should go on with in the future for Idol Insider videos. A little disclaimer before I start off this video. A lot of things are on personal experience, but the ones that aren't are basically insights and stuff that I heard from managers or casting managers, writers, CEOs, cameramen, contestants, so basically people who are in the industry or have something to do with basically the survival audition show programs. You guys can take whatever you guys want from this video, and for the guys who do not like what I say, then you guys don't need to take that. Basically this whole entertainment, you know, show business and just entertainment industry is a really big game in the end. Basically, there are many different players and there are people who are going to be following by the rules, people who don't follow by the rules. There's going to be a winner, there's going to be a loser. So I feel like that's the best way I could basically put together this video. Everyone's going to have a different experience while playing this game or just being in the industry. So that's something that I wanted to put out there. So the first question that I'm going to go in with, and so that we can kind of ease into today's conversation, is what survival shows were you invited to and why did you decline? I feel like this is a great question because I feel like you guys can kind of get to know just the gist and just like my idea and my thoughts about survival show programs. So the survival show program that I was actually on before was Kpop Star Season 2, and that is the only survival show program that I have ever participated in, and I would have to say it was definitely a roller coaster, an emotional roller coaster and a mental roller coaster, only because there's so much going on. Like, competition itself is hard, but when you're being filmed and when you're being like judged with that, it's like even harder. What survival shows were you invited to and why did you decline? I was invited to Produce 48 and The Unit. I actually declined both of them, both for different reasons, but there was one show that was super sketch, or the person that wanted me on one show, it was just super sketch. I know we're going like right with the tea, but basically this is when I wasn't really signed to a company, and one person, I'm not gonna like say names or anything, but basically I wasn't in a company, and that was when Produce 48, they were like kind of trying to find people, and like companies were trying to put their trainees out there. And that person said, oh hey, like come to our company and just like audition, and then we're gonna see and put you on Produce 48. And I was like, okay, like, okay. And then she's like, yeah, we're just gonna say that you were a trainee at our company, and that's what's gonna happen. So basically, that's when I started to second guess myself. I was like, oh, like, are these trainees like really under their company, or like are they just like picking people and then like putting out a name? I was like, what the heck is going on? And I didn't end up doing it because for me that was kind of like not fit with my morals. No matter how big the company, or no matter what company it was, that's like kind of like lying in a way, for like both parties. I guess, like, you know, some people could take that as an opportunity, but for me, I personally didn't like it. It's not like I was a trainee, actual trainee under their company. It was just I'm coming out as a trainee under their entertainment. So just super weird, and that's why I did not do it. Yeah. The question that I'm just gonna be going off the bat, the most asked question was, are the audition shows scripted, and how much of it is scripted? They're scripted. Now the question and the this is like a very tricky question. Basically, they are scripted. Each show, either that's an audition show or just any show, there is gonna be a script or a format, and it depends on the writer and also the producer of how they want to take the show. If it's gonna be really scripted and they're gonna be going by the script, or if it's gonna be just a very big picture and then they're gonna be going with things very naturally. I think it's different for each show. But it is scripted, and I would say how I feel like it's scripted through personal experience is basically they ask you a lot of questions, and with those questions and those answers they make a story, and with those story they can get a reaction, and with that reaction it can go on TV. I feel like it's a very complicated process, but basically the writers, I think it depends on the writer. For me, I remember when I was auditioning for K-Pop Star Season 2, they would ask me a lot of questions, my background, or just things like during interviews, and basically they would put things together and say, okay, then can you say it like this? So I feel like it's not like you're saying something that's false, but basically for certain parts to go on air, they might, you know, be filming that part again. So in that way it is scripted because it's not like they kind of like ask you naturally. But there are a lot of audition show programs at the same time too that are very free. So I feel like it just depends, but overall they do have a format, whatever show that may be. So the next question that I'm going to answer is, how do they choose the contestants? So basically when if it's not going to be like a global survival audition show program, and it's basically more of like a set show, for example like Produce, basically managers or PR managers or companies will be informed of this beforehand by the broadcasting station. Oh, there's going to be a show coming out, or like rumors, oh, there's going to be a show coming out with a bunch of like trainees, and then they're going to make a group. So this is how kind of it goes around, and then basically they go to the broadcasting stations, and then there goes with meetings, and then they put out their trainees on the show. That's more for like Produce. For audition show programs like, you know, like Superstar K, like K-Pop Star, or like stuff like that, it's basically they have a global audition, and then they'll just be filming the whole day, and then the judges will just pick a person, and then they'll be filming that process too. It is a little bit different. So something that I want to say is, some people don't have an agency when they entered survival show programs. How could this be? Yes, there are. For example, like there are a lot of people on Produce who didn't have a company. This can be one or the other. Basically, the writer or editor can contact them specifically, like, I don't know, through like a DM, or contact them and basically tell them to come in for a meeting. So this might be for the people who might have already had exposure somehow, either that they were on another audition show program, or they're putting out covers on YouTube, or they, I don't know, put themselves out there, and basically the writers will find them and then, you know, take them for a meeting and then see if they are fit for the show. Also, this is something that I know personally, the people who do not have agencies and that choose to go out with no agencies can go on the show through connections, and connections as in they know somebody that can connect them or put them into having a meeting with the show. So I feel like it could be one or the other. They'll either pick you up or they'll just contact you separately, or you're gonna be having somebody kind of connect you with that show. Is it hard or easy to build industry connections, relationships as somebody auditioning? For example, it's really easy to make connections. I feel like it depends on your personality. But for people who go in with like no agency, basically they're the people who probably do have some sort of connections, or they did make a connection so that they could be on the show. So, and this usually goes for people who might have been a trainee at a different entertainment, and then the casting manager there remembers them and says, oh hey, you should try going out on this show, there's going to be a show coming out. And that's how it usually goes on, or people that might know casting managers might introduce like just a trainee to a casting manager, and then the casting manager would just put them in the show too, or like a meeting, or have them like set a meeting. Another question that I got is, how long does it take to film it? Guys, when it's like an audition show program or just any show, they're constantly filming. They don't know which footage you're going to use, but they have hours and hours and hours and hours of footage. And it's so crazy because only 2 hours or like 1 hour of that footage goes out to the world. And I feel like it's really in the hands of the editor, the video editor, of how the show is going to be. So basically there's so many people who do not get to go or have screen time, and that's because there's just so many people that the video editor basically has to edit what he thinks is the best. So in the end, I feel like the video editor for most shows have a very important role in just survival audition show programs. Very important role. Which goes to talking about, is evil editing an actual thing? I don't think they do this like super intentionally, but they might over-exaggerate the editing sometimes, only because it is a show in the end. So basically they do want to cause suspense, and they basically do want to cause a lot of, you know, emotions with the person watching the actual show. So I feel like this is when evil editing happens, because that person might not be actually having that type of intention, you know, or against a person, and then it might be kind of viewed differently. And I remember this because out of all of my K-pop star footage that they could put, they had to put a footage of me crying. That was the only footage that went out, because upon me coming to Korea, I didn't make it in the Korean auditions. So the only part that went out on my, or like my K-pop star like clip, was just me crying. So I guess that would be evil editing at the same time too, because if you think about it, there were so many other things I did. Like I sang in front of the camera, I did so many things, but that was the only part that went out on TV, the only 3 seconds. So evil editing is a thing. I feel like it just depends on the video editor. Is it hard for foreigners to have screen time during survival shows? I would say this is somewhat true, only because of the language. There are a lot of people and a lot of video editors who will be translating that, and it's fine. But I feel like for a lot of video editors, they might not understand what you're saying. So this is something that happens, and that is the reason why they might not get as much screen time. A little tip for those of you guys who want like more screen time, or you know, for those of you guys who are watching and are aspiring, you know, trainees or K-pop artists. Basically, like if you guys do not know Korean that well, or you guys can just maybe know a couple of words, and then you know, you know, while you guys are doing the interview, you know, speak a little couple of words. I feel like that might be your best way to. So one thing that I want to say is, for me too, I am Korean American, but when I was doing the interviews, I wasn't the best at speaking in Korean too. I was very Konglish, and there was definitely an accent there, but I did try my best, and I basically try to think of questions that they might ask me beforehand so that it can go a little bit more smoothly. So, but the questions that they're gonna ask is very like similar, like, oh, what song are you gonna sing? Or how was this experience? How was it when you auditioned? Like, what made you audition? What is your goal? So just have those questions ready and you'll be good. What is the whole point of survival shows? Exposure? I feel like this was a really good question. Survival shows, the whole point is exposure up to one point. Exposure for the broadcasting station, for their viewer ratings to go up, and exposure for the people on the show. For example, the companies put people out on, you know, survival show programs like trainees because they want to basically expose them before they might debut, which will be a better debut if people know of them and people know just the talents that they have. And I think that this is actually a really good part, and my favorite part about shows like Produce is because you get to see a side of trainees that you might have not seen if they were just to debut on its own. And yeah, I feel like that's like the best part and the most fun about it is you get to become a fan of them before they debut. How like awesome is that? And you get to know like what position they are, what type of charm they have, or just anything about them, which I feel like is the best thing, and that's why Produce is so known out of all the show programs and why it has a lot of popularity is because you get to see them before. Are the contestants paid? The company is paid. Especially for like shows like Produce, since they are going to be trainees. I don't know, each contract might be different for each person or each contestant, but most of the times the show is going to be paying the company, and then I don't know, the company might be paying the trainees. It also depends, but at the same time there's probably going to be more money going into the trainees than they're making, so I'm pretty sure the company will take it. As for like major audition show programs, if there's like a grand prize, like a grand money prize at the end, they do not really get paid for the show or being on the show, since the grand prize is money. So I feel like that's the take on this question. What are the most restrictive rules you need to follow? I would say the most restrictive rule is that you have to keep everything confidential, and everything that hasn't been aired, you can't really tell anybody, to be honest. They still don't tell anybody, not even your family, because they want to keep it as secretive as possible and they don't want things leaking out, which is the reason why a lot of audition show programs, they might have like dorming and they might not give you guys your phones, and that's because they want to keep everything as secluded and just as more of like a mystery, because they don't want that kind of being exposed. So I think that's the number one most restrictive rule, is you cannot tell anything that's going on. What is the deal with uniforms like Produce 101? Are they specifically made for the person? Basically the uniforms are all the same, or if there is like a certain uniform, a set uniform, they're all the same, but they could be tailored through your body, through your stylist that the company decides to have. So basically a company will have a set stylist or a stylist that they go to a lot, and then I don't know, if the uniform doesn't fit you that well, your stylist can kind of tweak things a little bit up, and then you can kind of go from there. Yeah, I remember like even like a lot of shows that I did, like variety shows, if they were to give you a certain outfit, they'll give it to you beforehand, before the show actually happens, and then if you do not like the fit of the clothes, you can basically tell your company that you want to kind of tweak this up, and then they'll tell the stylist, and then the stylist will have it prepared before you go on the show. Another question that I got is, do companies pay them for more screen time? That's a very juicy question. I wouldn't necessarily say they pay them. I don't know, we don't know what happens behind closed doors. But I do feel like a lot of companies, a lot of managers or PR managers will get close to like the people who are editing these videos and basically just like become close to them, like talk to them more so that they know like, oh hey, I'm so-and-so's manager, or I'm the manager for this entertainment company, and you know, can you just like take in a little bit of consideration for our contestant or our member. And I feel like that's how it goes on. And yeah, so I would say like if you have good social skills maybe, or if your manager has good social skills, then you might have more of a chance to go on air. That's what happens. Can you audition for more than one role? You could definitely audition for more than one role. They will most of the time ask you, but you will have to have one specific strong trait or like one role. So if you are more confident in singing, they will put you in like a singing category. If you're more confident in dance. There's a lot of people who are good in both. So basically, I feel like for most of the auditions, they will look at both. I remember for my K-pop Star Season 2 audition, they basically made me sing, and that's what I put as my #1 role. But then they actually wanted to see me dance too, which I didn't prepare at the time, but they would just turn on a random song and be like, oh, can you just dance to the song too? We want to see your dancing skills too. So it's always good to kind of know how to do both. And if not, if you do not know how to do one and you're just strong only in one thing, just try, because even trying is such a plus rather than giving up. Are there strict diets? I wouldn't say that the show gives you a certain strict diet. I would say more of a company aspect will go into this. The company will basically say, oh, go on a diet, or a teacher or like a producer might be like, okay, you know, it could be a little bit better if you lose a little bit of weight. But I feel like it really honestly depends on the company and also the show. So another question that I got is, are people usually different on and off screen? I feel like this is a case by case, but there might be people who are super talkative not when the camera's rolling, and then become super quiet when the cameras are on. Or there might be somebody who's super quiet, you know, in real life, and then when the cameras are on, they might be able to talk. I feel like this is a difference. And yeah, for me personally, I was very quiet, and then when the cameras were on, I was able to kind of talk more, only because I didn't really like know a lot of people when I was auditioning, so I feel like I was very quiet and I didn't really like know who to talk to. And then when the cameras are rolling and I'm like being interviewed, I was able to talk because, you know, that's like the only like person or like place that I could talk. So I think that it's like different. Is it really that dramatical, or is it just how the director wants it so that everyone has to act? I feel like there are a lot of writers or producers who kind of want you to, you know, overreact sometimes, and that's only because on camera your little reaction might not be able to come out on camera, so you might have to overreact, but then for the people watching to know just like what that situation is. And I remember like for me too, when I was talking about like certain like life backgrounds, I would be kind of sad, and then they'll kind of like push you a little bit more and like make you talk about it a little bit more, and then like I would cry or something. So I feel like it's they're very good at listening to you, and I feel like kind of bringing out emotions, either that's sad, happy, or like mad, in that type of sense. How do the staff members treat the contestants? For the most part, I feel like they do treat the contestants well. Feel like the staff really do try to help you out. If you are not that great at like Korean, they will try their best to explain it to you. Or, you know, if you do not understand something, they'll do it. If you're very stressed out, they'll listen to you. I feel like the staff do a really important job, and I think that they know that too. I think that they know how stressful it is. I feel like they try their best so that it could be kind of smooth sailing, and that it could be just a good atmosphere. I feel like this video is getting a lot longer than I thought it was going to take, but please do understand because I want to touch up on every question I can. So the next question is, are less popular trainees treated worse than popular trainees? From a lot of contestants, I've actually heard that it's very clicky. I don't know if that's the word. There's a lot of cliques. So basically, I feel like this is bound to happen though, because if you think about it, there's a bunch of people. You might gravitate towards, you know, talking to people who you might feel more comfortable with. There are people who are like social butterflies who might be close with everybody, but I feel like people who aren't like that, if they start to get closer with somebody, they might just be only close with them, which turns into kind of cliques. I feel like this is bound to happen too, especially for shows like Produce. If you think about it, there's like A, B, C, D, F, and you are gonna be with that group or that certain group for a longer period of time. So, and even like the stages that they have, so it's bound to get clicky, and I do understand that. What's the hardest part? I feel like the hardest part about survival audition programs is that you're constantly competing against everybody there, and the more people there are, the more you have to kind of stand out, the more you have to shine, the more you have to show your talents. And I feel like you feel pressure to show talent. Pressure is great sometimes, but there are people who are not really good at being under pressure, and that's for me too. I'm the type of person who does better when I'm more complimented, when I'm more relaxed, more than when I'm like pressured and I'm forced to do something. So I feel like that's the hardest part, is finding the balance of really holding on to like your mental stability and like fighting and just being really just alert and, you know, on top of your game. So the next question is, are the outcomes selected beforehand? Like I said, each show is going to be different, but I feel like it becomes a little bit not finalized, but I think that along the way, depending on how much exposure somebody is getting, they might want to keep that person on more for a show. And I know this through writers who have told me this, and also managers and just people who are in the industry. It is true up to some point that they do want to put somebody on the show because they might have more of a fan base, or they might have more fans, which make them watch the show even more. So if that person leaves the show, then that person's a fan, then they're not going to want to watch the show. So basically, I feel like that's when people might think that like the outcomes are selected beforehand. I don't think they're selected at the way beginning, but I think that midpoint they do not select, but I feel like they do choose a couple of people, or they might take that into consideration for most of the shows. I only have 3 more questions. These are all actually really hard questions. So, are the results rigged? Like I said in the before question that I just answered, I wouldn't say it's like totally rigged, but I'm pretty sure there are some things that are in the control of not just the people who are voting, but also the people who are in charge of the show. And I feel like that's the fine line of what has been going on and the controversial things that have been happening. Not necessarily like that it's like totally rigged, but I feel like since a lot of people who are making these shows are having input to the shows, that's what happens. As for like the next question is how the voting system works. The voting system works is basically everyone votes, but the thing is like you don't know what's happening behind closed doors. People who vote pay money to vote, and that involves money. So it's like if you are going to be kind of manipulating those votes, then what happens to all the people who paid money? Like, what's the whole point of voting? I feel like that's the whole controversy that's going on right now. But I hope that they can really come to an agreement, because I feel like it is sometimes very unfair for some people. And, you know, it sucks because everybody puts in hard work and everybody puts in the same amount of work, even more, but the fact that it might be just taken away from them because of some things, that's the thing that's so wrong. Yeah, hope I answered that very well. The next question is kind of more of a fun question and a question just to end this video. Who is your favorite member of Produce X101? My favorite member was Lee Jin-hyuk from TOP Media. I watched almost all of the Produce X101 episodes, and I definitely feel like to me he stood out the most. I was very surprised when he did not win, or he wasn't in the final debut team. I was like, what happened? And I was kind of frustrated too, because what the heck, how does that work? And I feel like with each and every audition show program, you're always gonna have a bias, and you're always gonna have rooting for somebody, and they might not win, and it sucks. But at the end of the day, they still have a lot of love, and they still have a lot of fans. They still have people who support them. I think that's the most important part too. Other than the fact, it really sucks that they did not make it to wherever they were supposed to be, but I feel like for those people, there's always going to be opportunities and other opportunities in the way, and I really do root for those people who have that type of situation. And yeah, so that was my answer. So I hope I touched up on a lot of the topics you guys were curious about. I know that I might have not touched up on a lot of them. A lot of them weren't necessarily related to survival audition show programs. It's just the reason why I couldn't answer all of them. A lot of them had to do with auditions, and for those of you guys who do not know, I do talk about auditions and tips and stuff on other videos for my Idol Insider videos. So those of you guys who want to know about auditions and tips and stuff, look through my other Idol Insider videos and you guys will be able to find that. Also be on the lookout for the Insta stories when I put up a topic so that you guys can participate and ask me questions for the next Idol Insider video. And yeah, I'm super excited because I feel like it's me kind of engaging with you guys, and also me kind of really connecting with you guys. So I'm really happy that I can do that. And yeah, thank you guys so much for watching, and until the next one, bye bye. Bye.